Sometimes I would really love to go into the minds of my students and kind of get their perception of what my job is and what my role is as a teacher, because obviously until you've been in a position or done a job, you don't really know all that much. And that became very clear with a couple of discussions that I had today with some of my students. So I was chatting with a few of my students about the fact that I only got about 3.5 hours of sleep and that I was pretty tired that day, and that I just did not have the energy for certain behaviors. And I told them, some of you guys, mostly your classmates, have been really getting on my case to get these grades in. Granted, the grade was an assignment that you did on the last day of school before break, and people keep asking me, when is it going in? When is it going in? So last night, I finally stayed up until about 11:30 because I have my own 2 kids at home. Once they were in bed, stayed up till about 11:30 grading those assignments finally for them. And I told them that I stayed up late getting these papers in the grade book for them because they're, wanting to do test corrections or whatever. And a kid goes, well, at least you're getting paid. And I go, honey, I don't get paid after 2:40. I only get paid between 7:30 and 2:40. That is it. Which then got them on the conversation of, well, when am I supposed to do that grading then if that's not, paid hours? And I said, every teacher has a prep hour at the high school level. I was like, so second hour, that is my prep hour. I was like, so when you guys are in your second hour class, I don't have a class, and that is when I'm supposed to do my grading, make my keys, do all my copies, do any prepping that I need to do. And one of the kids, bless their heart, actually was like, oh, that's it? I'm like, exactly. That is it. And I know sometimes this can be my own time management in some cases, depending on where I'm at. But I did the numbers the other day and I'm like, oh, with advisory, I actually have 170, just shy of 170 students every other day that's in my classroom. And that is, under my control. So there's a lot that goes into that. And I was talking to my husband about it too, because he's high up at the company that he's at. And he's in charge of roughly the same number of people. But he also makes more than double what I make. Every once in a while he'll have a phone call, that kind of thing. And even our son right now is not feeling all that well, and the conversation kind of came up with who, if he's sick tomorrow, who's going to stay home with him. And for him, if he were to stay home with our son, he was whatever, I kind of already let my boss know, and then I'll just have to get on my computer and be available to answer phone calls and answer emails. And I'm well, if it's me, I go, once the kids go to bed, I need to write up sub-plans. I would like to go into school to print everything that I need to print, make sure that my laptop is completely set up, and then I'll come back home. And I'm just it's just kind of a unique situation. I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world. It's definitely challenging. It's definitely difficult. Every job has its challenges. My dad does concrete for a living. That man busts his booty physically every single day. There's just, different things that are kind of weird, I guess, about the teaching profession in comparison to other jobs. But it's just, sometimes it's interesting to have these conversations with our students or with my students, because they don't know, which again, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what a lawyer's day looks like. I've never been in retail. I worked in a factory before this, so I couldn't tell you what that was like. I never worked in a restaurant, anything like that. So sometimes it's just kind of interesting to have those conversations with kids to help them kind of realize hey, yes, you guys are my priority, but you're technically only supposed to be my priority from 7:30 to 2:50, 2:40-ish, and then I got my own family, my own things. Anything outside of that is extra and is technically unpaid. There's my 2 cents for the day. Take with that what you will.